things that are solutions that are meant for problems of 10, 50 centuries ago?
I wouldn't say school because I mean the educational system is a global one, right? Even though we are restricted here in West Africa to the standards of West African Examination Council syllabus. That's what I mean by standard.
Yeah.
And then we also have the National Executive Council, right? The examination NECO, right? So those ones are like the registered ones for West African institutions and of course the Nigerian institution. So when we say school is global, but let's put it in context right now. And I want us to limit it to the Nigerian context.
Okay.
Nigerian schools. And when we say Nigerian schools, let's also limit it to public Nigerian institutions or schools, because I have been exposed to private Nigerian institutions, and I can tell you for a fact that they are a bit advanced and they are a bit forward thinking, even in their curriculum. For instance, you'll be shocked that machine learning and mechatronics is being studied in an institution, private institution in Ekiti today. All right. And you will not find that in any institution, public institution in Nigeria, even though there's an engineering department. So mechatronics, machine learning is an department of engineering. And even though they brush over it, there's a department for mechatronics in a private institution, even in Ekiti State right now. I don't want to mention the name.
Okay.
So just to buttress my point that private institutions are forward thinking and they're open, right? And then we've even started having cases where private institutions, I'm talking universities, right, are beginning to teach students. You can go and study artificial intelligence in private universities right now. But let's look at our public universities in Nigeria. And that should be the focus, because how many Nigerians can afford to send their kids to private universities, for instance, or private secondary schools? That's like gold right now, standard private secondary schools. So looking at our curriculum, I do not think that our public educational systems are teaching Nigerians or young Nigerians with the right or prerequisite knowledge to be able to battle 21st century 2024 challenges and prepare them for even global challenges, right? So just to answer your question, I do not think our institutions, educational institutions, public educational institutions in Nigeria are doing their best. And this is anchored on curriculum. I mean, I hope that we can even dive deep into conversations around curriculum, which is big deal.
Okay, talking about curriculum, I told you prior this, today that it's a phase 2 of this conversation, and that will be shifted till next Monday.
Okay.
All right. So I'm sure Esther and Shegun has one or two things too, of course.
All right. While we're talking about having to move on with the 21st century tools we need, 21st century courses, because if we want to look at it, I was talking to someone yesterday and I was like, how would a student now tell me you gained admission and you want to go and study a course that you would not be able to stand on your own? I don't want to name courses, so it won't look
let's
like...
name
let's
name
if
courses.
I want to name courses,
let's name
how would you tell me in this age that you gain admission to go and study philosophy? While I'm not disputing the fact that we need history, to certain ideologies we have now, we won't do away with history, but you won't tell me in this age that you gain admission to go and study philosophy and I would be so convenient with it. Because if we want to look at the labor market, where exactly can you fit in? Except for you being a teacher, or you go do your masters. Yes, it's just as if
wise coach.
Wise one.
I disagree though, because I mean, philosophy is one of the courses that I fell in love while I was in the university.
Okay.
I almost became a prof, in philosophy. So, I don't think the problem is the course, right?
Okay.
There are some courses that are fundamental: philosophy, psychology, for instance, medicine. There are some courses that standard will always remain relevant, right? But I think the problem is, one, our understanding of education. And if you guys,
I wanted to say that,
I hope that you guys will allow me lay this foundation and have this proper conversation. So the truth is, let's look at our educational system in Nigeria. what are the deliverables? Are there set targets, right? This is what I mean. In nursery one, after you have done your nursery, what is a nursery one or nursery two student supposed to know in Nigeria within our educational system? All right, educational deliverables. So after you have graduated from nursery two and you're going to primary one, what are you supposed to know as a young boy, a small boy, or a small girl? Do we have that? Now, when you move into primary one and then you go to primary five, pupils don't even go to primary six anymore. After your primary five or your primary six, what are you supposed to know as a primary five or a primary six student coming out of a primary school going into a secondary school? Do we have that set in Nigeria? That's another conversation. And then let's do SS1, SS2, SS3. Do we have those goals that are fully set in Nigeria, right? Is it clear, right? So I want us to look at that.
Okay,
you know,
sorry, Shegun, to buttress what you've said, it's like, considering the essence of junior WAEC, J1 to J3. What's the major thing? What are you expected to know?
So when I say what you are expected to know, this is what I mean. And of course, we have subjects, elementary science, biology.
Of course.
We have all these subjects, but that's not what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
After you graduate from primary five, what skill would you have said that you have been trained through primary one to five that you can now do? Is it ceramics? Is it fashion designing? Is it engineering? Is it shoemaking? You understand what I'm saying? Is it now? Let's be more advanced. Is it artificial intelligence? Is it coding? Is it, when you say coding now, is it basic HTML, CSS, CSS plus? Is it front end development, back end development? Is it augmented reality? Is it virtual reality? These are the skills. I mean, these are the things that we're talking about. So those are the deliverables. After my children have gone through nursery one and nursery two, what can they say? So what's our deliverables? Maybe they can do A, B to Z now. Once they are done with primary 1 to 5, what are the skills that they come out with? Is my son expected to be able to say, I know how to do HTML, or now I can, transplant from, do fragmentation in agriculture, all this. Let's just make it, basic before we even start talking about these advanced skills, which of course we should be talking about right now, because a basic, the equivalent of a primary 5 student, right, to in Nigeria, to a student in Estonia, they're already doing HTML, CSS, CSS plus.
Of course.
Right? So if you put your child that is a primary 5 or going to secondary school, and you put it with a child that is at that school graduating from elementary school in Estonia, I mean, the languages are going to be different.
Definitely.
And so you're telling me that those people, I mean, will they be placed on the same pedestal when it comes to job hunting, even global job hunting in the world? These are the realities. One thing that my lecturer told me, and I'll rest on this, back then in the university, wasn't even a lecturer, it was one of the senior colleagues. He told me, he said, do not let your locality limit you, because the reality is the world keeps revolving and growing. And so they will not listen to your excuse that there is no light in the institution that you studied. There is no internet where you grew up. They will be demanding for the current skills that the world is moving with, right? And so there will be no excuses. No excuses.
I think this brings us back.
The whole thing is wrong right from the onset, right from the origin.
I don't think that it was wrong from the onset. I think that it was misconstrued eventually. I mean, the whole idea was to teach people, to skill up people, right? And that's why I do not think that employing the Western system of education, this is just a bit of digression. I'm coming back.
Go ahead.
Employing the Western system of education, where you're saying education is for a group of people and, it's supposed to be expensive. I do not buy it, especially for Africa. Right? Because the truth is, an average African is smart. An average African, by biology, their intelligent quotient, it's over 3.5.
Yeah.
Except for those who were born with obvious disabilities, mental and physical. So the truth is, every African can withstand the educational system. I mean, they can go through it and excel, right? However, Now, adopting that culture of it's not everybody that's supposed to be in school, I think that that's a philosophy that I do not totally agree.
Sorry, we have a call. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, but that's not for me. It's not about government. It's about people understanding. And that's why I think that we need to really look at this issue. So back to your question. I do not think that the whole idea has been faulty from start. The truth is education is supposed to empower you, right? Give you a skill. But every century, as the centuries evolved, right, there are skills that become obsolete. There are skills that are no longer, trending in the market. There are skills that no longer will earn you money as it used to 20 years back. You understand? There are more defined skills right now. There are more upgraded skills right now. So the onus is on the nation to understand that, for instance, what are we doing about artificial intelligence right now in Nigeria? Why are our curriculums not adopting that? I don't want to go into what artificial intelligence is doing right now in every sector, even filmmaking. Right now with Sora, you can make a movie in 5 minutes. I'm talking 45, 1 hour, 1 hour 25. You can make a series in 20 minutes by just Sora, artificial intelligence. Put the prompt. No longer so you can design. I can tell Sora to design how Claudius looks like. Studies you, takes your picture from the web, designs you, and puts you in motion, and then you are acting. It's so mind-blowing. But what are we doing about it in Nigeria? Our educational system. Who is our minister for education? Who are the commissioners of education in all the 30 states in Nigeria and FCT? Do they understand the input of education, and are they also in tandem with the revolution of education all over the world? So look at it. Top 10 skills in the world, in high demand, right? We are not even studying them in any institution in Nigeria. Tell me one institution in Nigeria that's teaching critical thinking and situation analysis.
That's a big deal.
Tell me one institution in Nigeria that is teaching virtual reality, augmented reality. Tell me one institution in Nigeria, public institution in Nigeria that's teaching artificial intelligence, web design. These are the skills that, I'm just talking about tech, right?
Yeah.
What about agriculture? What about language? What about economics, right? There are revolutionary courses in economics. What about in leadership, in politics? So back to our curriculum, the design is to fit everybody with a skill. But the truth is, the skill that our fathers used back then, for instance, the way they handled camera 20 years ago, is it the same way they handle cameras right now? The knobs are smaller. Some of them are no longer there. The functions are even more defined. We used to have 3D. There's 4D. There's 5D. There's 4K now. It's mind-blowing. So we see that technology keeps making things move faster, but our system still remains 20 years as old, 30 years as old, teaching the same thing and not solving relevant problems. So that's the crux of this matter. The fact that our educational system is not even up to date. So we cannot even teach people the right skills that after they leave university, they can be employed by German company. They can be employed by Canadian company.
You don't even
they can be employed by banks. Look at it. A bulk of the people that are sustaining the architecture of the fintech companies in Nigeria, including banks, most of these guys are techies, right? Who are those developing their apps?
The apps.
And these people are not front desk people. They are not customer service people.
They work from home.
These people work from all over, managing their servers, managing their back end, services and responses, their lagging time, all of these things, so the automation process. In fact, if those people down tools, those who are in front desk will have nothing to do.
Definitely.
You look at what I'm saying, and these are the guys that make the most of the money. So yes, front desk will still be there. Banking and finance will still be there. BFN. But the question is, you as a parent, do I understand education, where education is now? Do I understand in-demand skills right now? Now, can I afford to now tell my child, guide my child to go and take some of these courses? Look at it. Let me give this one and I'll rest. A lot of us still want our children to be medical doctors. But guess what? There is an aspect of medical science, which is cosmetic surgery, that makes so much money. If you put Botox, just to be injecting Botox in people's,
Flesh,
backside, do you know how much this guy is earn? And you have to be licensed, you have to be trained,
Even
and
though it might be fake at the end of the day.
No, they're original guys, right? That you go through normal medicine and then you get certification.
I get you,
and focus on that, But everybody wants to be gynecologist, surgeon. A plastic surgeon can make your money, the whole of your money in 1 year in just one surgery. I mean, these are the realities right now. So we need to understand that I do not think that education is a scam. I do not think that education is a preserve of a group of people. No, I do not even think that education should be so much expensive, right? I think that everybody should access education. But the most important thing is an education that doesn't help you to solve a problem. Fit you with a skill, in-demand skill right now,
that is
a waste of money.
So thank you very much for saying the last statement. Sorry, Shegun. We are coming back on that. Okay.
An American doesn't need to go to school to learn how to speak English.
I think that person just gave the definition of education in Nigeria.
In Nigeria?
Yes.
In Nigeria? No, I don't.
I'm also agreeing with that.
I don't agree.
Okay, let me hear you out.
I don't. This is what I mean. Education is beyond speaking. There are people who don't go to school and read.
Wait, hold on.
And learn how to read and speak.
He's not saying that education should be this.
He's
saying that
in
Nigeria, our own definition of education
is just to be able to read
what
and
our
write.
education sector looks like, is all about for you to go to school to learn how to read and write.
And some even,
I completely disagree.
I would say that's what he's trying to define is
disagree.
elementary education.
Tell us why you disagree.
I disagree because many parents will not send their schools to their words to schools just to learn how to read and write. It's a lie.
Are you sure?
So why is your mommy always calling you to follow you up on oti graduate and all of that? Our parents naturally expect that once you have scaled through primary, secondary, even university, they expect some level of give back, throw back to them. And why do you think so? Because they expect that the system would have taught you way beyond English and reading and writing, that now you should be skilled enough to be employed by a system that deems it fit to pay you well enough to be able to take good care of yourself.
Is the system doing that?
So that is the systemic problem that we have. It's not that Nigerians don't understand it. That's why I disagree with this.
Okay.
An average parent cannot look at it and say, because I want my child to read and write,
that's why
I'm speak English. That's why I'm paying this sum of money to send them to university. It's not it. BCH is not about reading and writing. Banking and finance is not about reading and writing. Engineering is not about these are the elementary. Agri science is not about reading and writing, right? It's not about reading and writing. They expect you. There is practical. Even the system that we are currently abusing have industrial attachment for college of education, for polytechnics, and for universities. Why? These terms are there. They are not just evolving. They are 20 years old, 25, 30 years back. You understand? They are not evolving. And the courses are also not upgrading. There are people who will still be farmers, who will still be engineers, right? The question is, what do you want to get out of the system? And are we currently looking at what the world is demanding from the labor force right now? So I don't agree with that statement.
You don't agree? Okay.
And I hope my points are valid.
Okay, we have a call. Hello.
That we are talking about vulcanizing, right? If I went to the university, and I really want to talk about something. The concept of university that we talk about is usually not just to get a degree. Some
people, some of the students now say because of Pali, let me have this Pali.
And that's where they're missing it. Because your friendships, in the university, your relationships, right? Your extracurricular activities that you accessed because you went to a university, right? There are different groups in schools that you can join, and you can go for international trips just because you joined. As a matter of fact, it's valid that you have to be a university student to be a part of them. So I think it's about definition, right? And I think that many of us don't even have the goal in mind. If the goal is to get the Pali, you will get the Pali, nothing else. But if the goal is to be a universal person, while in that university. So there's so many things you will do, extracurricular activities. Even if the university is stifling and doesn't give you the opportunity, some of us did it. We still came out and we still survived. You understand? We built our skills there. We built relationships that today is still even fetching us money. In fact, the connections that we now leverage on outside university, many of us accessed it while being students there, and not just going to fellowship, going to lecture, and going to our hostels alone. You know, life is way more than that. So I think that understanding goes far. And I think that all these jobs, we call them menial jobs because we do not apply some level of intelligence to it.
Yeah.
We will, till the world we end, we will always have vulcanizers. We will always have, you know, battery fixers, mechanics. When I mean mechanics, the mechanics original mechanics. We will have engineers.
Developed countries.
Yeah, I mean, we will have plumbers, right? We will have all these roof fixers. You know, we will have all these people that are doing it. But what the education does to you is when you appear, I mean, look at your business being structured. We do not have a vulcanizer office or shop in Ekiti, in Ado-Ekiti, where they have the current tools, right? And you meet the vulcanizer and he's speaking good English to you, welcoming you into his establishment, right? We have one in Akure where they fix your cars automatically. The machines that they use to remove your rim from your tires, you don't have someone sweating and pressing that thing, thing.
That's the Formula
right?
1 pattern.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, so it only takes someone who is educated to tap into that
sector.
sector.
It will change
exactly
the whole image of whatever profession you are doing.
And I feel that should be the basis of why you should be in school in the first place.
It's
much more than just you going there, collect your certificate, and come out to showcase to the world that you did not get a job.
Okay.
Or you did.
Okay,
how are you even applying the skill you got? Let's put the certificate aside.
And there's another thing. You can go into a university to study a course. This is about being real, right? You entered and you're studying engineering, and then your institution is telling you to go and be drawing, and you're doing some mundane practicals, and you yourself, you know that this will not take me anywhere. Guy, start taking courses online. Register. Free courses are online, and some of them you pay a token, 10,000 a month, get your certification, study online. It's about being smart. The system, if we continue to allow the system control our lives, we will keep blaming government, and the world will keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we as parents, we as young persons, we must be honest with ourselves. I found myself in so university, and what they're teaching me, I know. When my lecturer is bringing brown paper to the class, I already know there's problem, right? When my lecturer is telling me to come and be buying some handouts, and I'm reading things that even ChatGPT cannot tell me about, I can tell me more about. You understand? You know there's problem. So you do that one. While you're doing that one, devote as much time, your weekends, your free time, your extra times, your holidays, into studying other courses that before you even finish university, you're making money. You finish this one in the system.
Collect the
quali and do your job. That's why it will continue to happen that people like me, go and study Agric, and you're speaking English on radio. And we do it very well. Because we figured out, I mean, I do Agric, I practice Agric, by the way. But I mean, there's a difference to it, because when your passion and your profession stands, get certification in your profession and fire your passion by the money from your profession and become, there's a merger, there's a point of merger. There's a nexus in it. I mean, how about you anchoring an agricultural show
Summit,
and you're not sounding dull?
just like Uncle Health Issues.
I mean,
okay.
All right, let me just say this before we call it a wrap on this particular segment.
Who they want to call it?
Before we move to curriculum,
we need to talk about that.
Before we talk about
very important.
Okay, you can't say an average Nigerian or Ekiti person now cannot say, okay, when you're done, please.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories of people who send their words to technical colleges while they're waiting for admission. Yes.
While they are waiting for admission.
Yes.
But no, it's not everybody that has that, should I say, that approach or that knowledge.
Because of how we view these institutions, right?
I think we need to talk about that.
So Polytechnic, Olomaje, College of Education, Olomaje, technical colleges, Olomaje, only universities, right? And you see the discrepancies in that. While
do not forget
they are defined.
Teachers College too.
Yeah.
I
mean, these institutions are defined with goals, right? A university is specific. Go there, become a universal human being, even though not many institutions have
That universal.
impact.
Yeah.
That impact anymore.
Okay.
Polytechnic is to teach you more hands-on. Technical colleges with technical skills, shoemaking, fixing car, engineering, you do the mechanic, you know, all these things in technical colleges, college of education, raise people who go back into institutions, educational institutions, to be able to, you know, they learn the tolerance, the skills, the discipline to teach, impart knowledge in every sphere, in every field. So these things are basically, you know, defined. For many Nigerians, the way we are classist, right? The way we respond to them varies. And I think that's one of the problems that we have. So yes, you were going to ask me about overhauling. I hope that I do not agree that it's total, but yes, there's a need for a rejig.
You not agree that it's total?
This is what I mean.
Okay.
This is what I mean. And I hope I can do this in 5 minutes. So this educational thing, you know, I've spoken about how we as an individual or parents who are listening right now can salvage the situation so that we're not held ransom by the system. That's one. Let's talk about the system, right? The system, when I mean system, I mean leadership for every state, for every nation, has to define their goals. Admit, true change and true development cannot happen in 4 or 8 years, maximum 15 to 16 years, maximum. And I use nations like China, for instance, which I've studied very well, as this prototype of development, right? Now, so the leadership of a nation needs to design where are we going in the next 8 years. See what we're talking about now. We need to do more production. We need to create stuffs, you know, fashion designing, go back to the farm, feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, design our own shoes. But the truth is, we have still not sat down to holistically look at this. This is what I mean. If we want to be a nation that focuses on our natural resources, we are blessed with natural resources. So let's assume that that mud is our natural resource, as basic as that. So what can we do with mud? We can make kettle, we can make flower vases, we can make cups with plates, you know, beautiful designs with mud, right? And then the nation sits down and says, okay, in nursery school, we need to rejig our curriculum so that this natural resource that we have as a nation, we can use it to empower everybody. So at nursery school, what are the learning outcomes at nursery school about the natural resource we have, mud? So which means maybe a nursery school student should be able to spell mud, should have a basic understanding of what mud is. Then learning outcomes for primary, right? Which means they should be able to maybe now experiment with mud on the several creations. And then maybe secondary school, advanced system on handling mud. And before you leave secondary school, you see that you're already even into businesses from the mud product, and you're making money. That money is supposed to be able to help you finance your further education into either universities to study maybe advanced mud packaging, exportation of mud, mud engineering, mud agriculture, mud physics, or mud medicine, or whatever. You get what I am saying?
Definitely.
So until we as a nation, the system understands that, where are we going with education? China, for instance, had a projection of about 18 to 20 years becoming the largest labor force in the world. And then there was a mandate, written, right, very clearly written, repackage everything you see. That's why they started remodeling phones. You started hearing China, made in China phones, made in China bags, made in China clothes, made in China this, made in China fridge. But we used to complain about it back then, saying that they don't last, you know. But they were a nation in motion because they understood that they wanted to become a nation with the largest labor force in the world. Do you know what that means? Including India, all right? And then they grew by that, learning, remodel. They will study your phone, remodel it. There were institution, factories, and all of that designed for that. They were teaching it in schools. And right now, China has the best products in the world.
No doubt.
Your iPhone is designed, packaged in US, but made in what?
In China.
In China.
Yeah.
You understand? So it's a progression. If a nation, if we as Nigerians are serious about development, we need a roadmap. Then we will now redesign our curriculum to channel that roadmap into see the impact and the outcome in the next 5, 8, 15, or 20 years. That's the best way that this nation can grow. And that's why I don't totally support total overhauling, rejigging, because by the time we sit down and say, so this course, I think we need to remove this course. It doesn't go well with the dream that we have in the next 18, 20 years. And we maintain other courses, that statutory courses that will be maintained. You understand? Law, agriculture, engineering, there are some, but we'll yank so many others off. And then, so that the outcome that we hope to get for anybody who comes into a university in the next 18, 20 years will raise a nation of people that have skills that are globally relevant. And then we'll become a workforce, a bane for the world, where if you want the best engineer, the best mechanic, best teacher, best farmer, you will come and get it in Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much.
If students stop studying certain courses and lecturers are left without job in those courses, institutions will review them. NUC will review them and might be forced to yank them off.
Totally.
All right.
No doubt about it.
The ball is still in our
court. Okay. All right.
They give
So
you.
we should not go for the course.
Understand it.
After
They
you've
give you
used like
certain
10 or
courses.
7 years
Turn it down.
after you've used like 7 years at home, don't still go for the course.
You
please.
see what we are saying?
Don't still go for the course.
So you rather
wait,
go for one
wait.
course, take the
Moshe had
course, for Pali's sake.
Moshe had to admission.
Oh my
you
God!
understand?
We will keep dancing around this matter until we face the fact. Well, I understand you, by the way.
Seriously.
I understand you. But because we feel that if we don't go to the university, we will not make it in life. That's why many people.
All right.
Please don't let us.
Let me not check that table.
Please, don't let us start again. We need to go. Thank you very much, Nigeria, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming.